My name is Jessica. I stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, the tension in the room so thick it was almost tangible. The heavy oak door had just swung open, but instead of the savior they were waiting for, it was me who held the keys to their future. My family, my father Henry, mother Olivia, and brother Ethan, stared at me in disbelief, their expressions a mix of shock and confusion. Ethan, the golden child of the family, had been on the verge of signing a partnership deal that he thought would make him a fortune. Henry's hands had been shaking with excitement, and Olivia had been fawning over Ethan like he was already a success. They had treated me like nothing more than a piece of furniture, shoving me into the corner to serve water and keep quiet. Little did they know I was the one pulling the strings. As I looked around the room, memories flooded back. Growing up in a wealthy family in Boston, Ethan was always the center of attention. When he was 18 and failed his driving test twice, Henry and Olivia hired a personal driving coach at an exorbitant price. When he finally passed, they bought him a brand new sports car. In contrast, when I was 18 and asked for a camera to pursue my passion for photography, Henry scoffed, saying it was a waste of time and money. Ethan's obsession with shortcuts and the appearance of success was evident from a young age. At 24, he decided to start a tech startup without any real knowledge of the industry. Henry invested a large sum of money from the family savings, believing it was a surefire success. 6 months later, the startup crashed and burned, but Henry and Olivia simply brushed it off, saying it was a learning experience. Meanwhile, I had been working hard as a financial analyst at a respected firm, earning promotions through my own hard work and dedication, but my achievements were always overlooked. A few weeks ago, Ethan announced that he had been hunted by Blackstone Capital, a prestigious investment firm. The buy-in for the partnership was a hefty $200,000, but Ethan claimed the returns would be astronomical. Henry and Olivia were over the moon, and without hesitation, they decided to mortgage the family's luxurious mansion in the suburbs to help Ethan secure the deal. As a financial analyst, I had access to resources and information that others didn't. I used my skills to dig deeper into Blackstone Capital. What I found was shocking. The firm was a house of cards, drowning in debt and relying on new partner buy-ins to stay afloat. It was a classic liquidity trap, and Ethan was about to jump right into it. I considered warning them, but every time I had tried to help in the past, I was met with ridicule and dismissal. Henry would say I was jealous of Ethan's opportunities, and Olivia would tell me to stop being a downer. So, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I used a special, purpose vehicle I had set up for independent acquisitions, Seaview Investments, to buy the controlling debt of Blackstone Capital. It cost me almost all of my savings, but I knew it was the only way to stop this disaster. I also hired Mr. Thompson, a high-level forensic accountant, to expose Ethan's lies during the signing process. Back in the conference room, as the clock ticked down, Ethan was confident as ever, adjusting his tie and flashing that fake smile. He presented a set of forged bank statements to Mr. Thompson, thinking he could fool him. Mr. Thompson, however, was not impressed. He demanded digital verification of the funds, and Ethan's facade began to crack. He tried to come up with excuses, but I stepped in and exposed his lies. I projected his edited PDF on the large screen, showing the world his fraud. Ethan tried to deny it, but the evidence was clear. Henry and Olivia, in their desperation, clung to any hope that Ethan could still salvage the deal. Then Mr. Thompson mentioned the need for collateral. The only asset that could cover the buy-in was the family mansion. Ethan, in his typical selfish way, pressured Henry to sign the collateral agreement, promising that the money would come through soon. Henry, afraid of embarrassing the family and losing the partnership, reluctantly signed. At that moment, I knew it was time to reveal the truth. I stepped forward and showed them the organizational chart that linked Seaview Investments to me and Blackstone Capital. I explained that I owned the debt of the firm and had the power to make or break the deal. I laid out 2 options for them. Option 1 was to follow the law, which would result in the house being seized as evidence in a wire fraud investigation and Ethan facing prison time. Option 2 was a quiet exit. Ethan would withdraw his application and leave the industry, and the house would be placed in a trust that I controlled, ensuring it would be protected for my parents' retirement. Henry and Olivia were in shock. Ethan raged, calling me a jealous sister. But in the end, Henry saw the truth. He realized that I was the only one who could save them from total ruin. With a heavy heart, he signed the deed, transferring the house to the trust. Ethan, still delusional, tried to negotiate a consulting fee, but I shut him down. I officially terminated his application and had Mr. Thompson collect his credentials. He stormed out of the room, his pride shattered. My mother, seeing the reality of the situation, suddenly changed her tune, trying to plead for the house back. But I was unmoved. I had endured years of neglect and dismissal, and now it was time for them to face the consequences of their actions. As I stood in the hallway, the door to the conference room closing behind me, I took a deep breath. For the first time in my life, I was in control. I didn't need their approval or love anymore. I had saved them from a disaster, and in the process, I had found my own strength and independence. The sun shone brightly through the windows, and I knew that a new chapter in my life had begun.